GTL 9, understanding grouping games. This video will be a little quicker because it's relatively self-explanatory, but basically there are two basic processes of logic games. There's the ordering games and the grouping games. Ordering pertains to spatial relationships, whereas grouping centers around whether or not players can be selected together. For example, can Charles be assigned to green team? Which ingredients cannot be included in the same recipe? If Polly was in ceramics class, can Hank be in painting class? So in my previous videos, we've discussed in detail what ordering games are, and in previous videos, we discussed in detail what ordering games entail, and we will do the same for grouping games. First, I'll describe the basic objective. It's to now make teams rather than line things up. Indicator words that is going to be a grouping game are to assign or divide the players, in contrast to ordering games consecutive or adjacent positions. You should form the base of your setup. Arrange the groups vertically, then insert the players. For example, 5 children, F, G, H, J, and K, and 4 adults, Q, R, S, and T, are planning a canoeing trip. The canoeists will be divided into 3 groups, group 1, 2, and 3, and 3 canoeists each, according to the following conditions. So you know there's going to be 1, 2, and 3 groups consisting of 3 canoeists each. There are various types of grouping games as well, similar to how there are various types of ordering games. In some games, you will have to assign players 1 group. Others, you have 2 to divide from, and possibly more than 2. In fact, this is the exact order of games I'll be explaining in this video. The first type of game is the in and out grouping. You'll be selecting 1 group. Certain players will be chosen, and others will be left out. For example, this states 8 students trying out for a high school softball team. There are exactly 5 spots available. So, a coach must select 5 of 8 students to fill the roster spot. So, the 1 group is people who are making the team, and then there will now be an out group. So there's 5 students in, 3 students out. So this is what your setup should look like, which, as the name suggests, will separate players onto multiple teams, such as red team or blue team, or even a third team. So in this example, 8 students are separated into 3 different teams to complete a trivia challenge. The teams will be named X, Team Y, and Team Z. Each student must be assigned to 1 of the teams, and each team must be assigned at least 2 students. So, this obviously is a multiple grouping game. There are 3 different teams, Team X, Team Y, Team Z, and it says it has to assign at least 2 students. 2 spaces, because you don't know which one has the additional 2 students. So those are the ones you add later. But you don't necessarily write in your direct immediate setup. Further, I'd like to describe also the kinds of groups there are that are important to future lessons. The first thing is to identify whether a group is stable or unstable. In a stable grouping game, it specifies how many players are in each group. For example, 2 4-person teams, the polygons, and the quadrilaterals. So since it actually specifies the size of the group, 2 4-person teams, that makes it a stable grouping game. 4, you can't put 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. In contrast, an unstable game does not specify how many players are in each group, and the group sizes can change during the game. An example of what an unstable game is. A chef is creating a new main dish for a special dinner party. She includes some of the following 8 ingredients in her new dish. It's important to know that all we know is that there's at least 1 ingredient, keyword some. We would only add more spaces when we are given more information, restrictions, or form deductions from the rules. Next, we will discuss categories. Categories depend on the games, obviously. If there are no categories, as in if players are indistinguishable from one another, you would simply write out the variable set as usual. For example, 8 boring students from A to H will be 8S to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just like that. However, some games will have categories. Tall and short, male and female. So in the same example, if there were 8 students, A, B, C are freshmen, D, E, F are sophomores, and G, H are juniors, you will label the group as so. Like I said, this video is going to be quick. In the next video, I'll go over the specific rules for grouping relationships that encompass all grouping games. If I were to include in this video, the video would be too long, and the information is so important, I'd rather have it be uploaded as its own video. Before I end the video, I'll show how you apply these rules to actual games. To make a couple identifications, whether it's a one group, multiple group, stable or unstable, or no categories and categories. So in the game, it says a college student's packing for a semester abroad. Her suitcase is filling up quickly, and she can fit no more than 5 of the following 7 items. And her selection must accord with the following. So this is one group, right? She can only fit 5 into her suitcase. So this isn't a multiple grouping game. It doesn't say, okay, she has her purse and her suitcase. She doesn't have this and this. She just has items she's bringing with her in her suitcase. Next is on stability. It says she can fit no more than 5. That doesn't mean she can only fit 5. She can fit 3. She can fit 2. She can fit 1. So this also makes it unstable. Next, she states she has a camera, deodorant, a fanny pack, etc. They're just 7 items, so there's no categories to distinguish these items from one another. I mean, yes, they're different items, but that doesn't mean they all serve their own category. They're in the same bundle. They're in the same indistinguishable category. Okay, just supplies she wants to bring. They're just items. So there's no category. And how you would make this game is you would have the word in. And then you actually won't have any spaces because you don't know how many. I mean, you know it ends at 5, but that's all that, that's all I know. Really, the most important information is how many is out. It says no more than 5 of 7 items, meaning there's 2 items are out at the least. So there could be more. So this is your proper setup.